Welcome to MJF Aquatics. I'm MJF and these are my fish tanks. Now we're going to be clearing out all of these old floating plants which we'll not be keeping because they've been infested with duckweed. And I don't like duckweed in my tanks because it grows so fast you can't keep on top of it. And this salvinia grows so fast anyway that I do not need anything growing any faster. What we're going to be doing now is taking out these Limbophilia stems. They're one of the fastest growing stem plants I have. And they grow no matter what they are planted in, even just floating on the surface, they grow all luscious and green. We'll not be keeping these as they're all covered in algae, which is the same with most of the plants in this tank. Look at this root growth. What we're going to be doing now is taking out this big chunk of wood which will give us more access to the rest of the plants left in the tank. There's lots of moss and things on this that might be able to be reused once treated to kill off the algae. For example, this really nice Bucephalandra plant is really healthy, but just has algae on the surface, which might be able to be cleaned off. What we are going to be doing now is removing the rest of the plants now the wood has been taken out. As you can see, taking out that wood has stirred up a lot of the substrate, which is now making the water very dirty and not being able to see much. So the next step will be draining the tank so then we can start cleaning. The good thing about those floating plants is they block out a lot of the light, which has stopped it becoming a green mess as fast. Later I'm going to show you a trick to turn down your lighting even if your light doesn't have a control to adjust the brightness. Now we're going to go take the tank and get rid of this gravel. And now we have an empty tank, ready to start cleaning and scrubbing off this stubborn algae. Let's start scrubbing. And normally this algae is quite tough, but it comes off really nice and easily with this wire brush. It's designed for aquariums, can be quite expensive, but it's a really good buy. One swipe and the algae's gone. Even the most stubborn calcium stains come off with a few swipes. Just make sure you don't get any gravel on it, like in this corner that I didn't clean, because if you get gravel in the wire brush and wipe it around the tank, it's going to scratch the glass. Right, I finished off cleaning the glass, because I'm sure you lot don't want to watch me just clean glass all day. And I just finished wiping it around and wiped it around with a paper towel just to get any moisture off so you can see nice and clearly in the front. Now we're going to start with our nutrient aquasoil in the base of the tank, which is going to give all the nutrients for our plants to grow. Now we're going to level out the aquasoil before we put our capping layer of gravel on. We want to slope it slightly towards the back to give us a better sense of depth, to make the tank seem deeper than it actually is. So you only want a very fine dusting at the front, and then it gets taller towards the back. Now we're going to be adding in our capping gravel layer, which I've previously washed because it can be quite a dusty gravel, so it might still have some dust when on fill up, because I'm impatient and don't like to keep going till it's all the way clean. Now we're going to spread it around so it covers all of the aquasoil. Now what you want to do is have a depth of the gravel double the thickness of the nutrient layer, just so when you pull up a plant or whatever, it doesn't end up pulling all the nutrients up into the water column too much to handle, and then it will end up causing huge algae problems like we had last time, which is a mistake I made before because I didn't cap over the nutrient layer, which is why I had the big algae outbreak in this tank previously. As you can see, I'm just using my hand to push it towards the back, so we're getting more sense of depth. You want to have a nice smooth front, so it's not uneven and unlevel. Now we're going to start by adding some rocks. Now I have this black lava rock in a few different sizes, and you always want to have too many bits for the scape you're doing, just so you have a choice. Because I might put this in, for example, and put it at the back like this and not like how it sits, and it gives me a choice of other rocks to use if I don't like the way that one's sitting, so I can find how I like it. Now I always recommend on doing stone scapes or big rocks or boulders that you always want to have an odd number of rocks in the tank, because in nature things aren't always even and equal. You want to fiddle around with it until you find how you like it, so it sits how you like it and how the plants can grow around it, because the plants are what brings the scape to life. I got out two types of rock to choose from. I had this darker lava rock and this lighter grey rock, and I decided to go for the darker lava rock because it will stand out from the plants a lot nicer. Next is onto the planting. The plants I've chose is Halanthium, which is a nice carpeting plant for the front of the tank. And I've also got some Eliocaris tropica. These two pots are tropica easy grow range. So how they grow is they come in a pot with like a liquid in the bottom, and you can take them out and split them up into smaller bundles, and then you can plug them in where you want them to make a carpet, and over time they'll send out runners and spread across the tank. I've also got this pot of the Dwigia Lustrous Super Red, which will go a really nice colour to put in the background. Now what I want to do is separate the plants. Since I have 3 plants, I want to have one type of plant at the front, one in the middle, and one towards the back, in height order, to bring the levels between each part of the tank. Right, now how to prepare the potted plants is I'm going to take it out of the pot, which is in a rock wall with a plant weight. The label can come off. Has this rock wall, which is like a nutrient rich thing they grow in when they're in the tanks. Now you might find that they split into a few parts as you take them off of this rock wall. I just like to use my fingers and just glide them through the roots to get out any of the chunks of the rock wall, because you don't really want it in when you plant it. A little bit won't harm, but it's just best to get as much off as possible. Now with these pots is you can split them up into bunches the size you would like. So I can then split this into like 3 clumps to put at the back of the tank and put it how I would like it to sit. I can also put the plant weights and tie them round with a bit of paper towel and then put them in the weights, and they'll sit higher up and then the roots can grow down into the soil. But for this, I'm just going to plant them straight into the soil. Now for the easy grow pots, how to prepare them. You start by taking off the lid and you're going to pull out this, and this comes in a liquid which is full of nutrients. And sometimes they'll come in a pot with gel, and if they come in a pot with gel, you'll just want to wash off all of the gel so that you don't end up with it in the tank causing a nutrient overload. Now these come in like a big clump, and what you can do is you can just break them off how you want them and break them off into a chunk, and then you can sort of group them together and then plug them in the tank how you want them. Now I'm going to prepare all of these plants and then bring you back when I'm ready to plant them. Right, now I've prepared all of my plants. So I've got all of my plants in little bunches ready to plant. Now you can use tweezers for this, but I like to do it with my hand just to plant them, and I can choose exactly where I want them to sit. So I'm going to put all of this Eleucharis in the front, and then have the Halanthium in the middle and the Duigia at the back. Now as you can see, I'm just pushing them in so then the roots can lock in, and then I can put the gravel back over them. It will stop them floating up when the tank's filled up, and then they'll grow down into the nutrient layer as I go along. Now I'm spacing them out with about a centimetre gap between them, so as they grow a bit bigger they'll grow into one big carpet and look like a grassy area. Now I'm just going to keep doing this until I've finished with this type of plant. Now I'm going to bring you back when I'm done. Now all the Eleucharis is planted. What you want to remember is when you're planting them in here, they're going to be quite dry. So you're going to want to keep misting the plants as you go along so they don't dry out. As you can see, it has also changed the colour of the rocks to see how they'll be underwater, and that shows the colouring of the rocks a lot nicer. Now I'm going to move on and finish planting the rest of the plants, and I'll bring you back when I'm done. Now all the planting is done. We have the 3 layers I was aiming for. You might not be able to see the Duigia at the moment, but that's because it's behind the rocks. As it grows, it will grow up behind the rocks and create a background. Now what we're going to start to do is fill up the tank. My trick for filling up the tank so it doesn't steam up messing with the gravel as much, I put this paper towel in the bottom, and you can pour the water onto that. As you fill it up, it won't disturb the gravel. Right, now is the time for the fill up. See, as you can see, I'm pouring the water and it's not disturbing the gravel, and it's dispersing the water through the paper towel, and it's not stirring it up. Now you want to fill your tank nice and slowly so it's not as misty when you fill it up. I'll bring you back when it's full. Now the tank is full. As you can see, it's a little bit murky, but it's pretty clear compared to what I thought, considering the gravel wasn't fully washed. Now I'm just going to pick out a few of these bits of plant that have floated up. And now to finish off any planted tank, just a few floating plants out some of my other tanks. This Salvinia grows extremely fast, so this will be taken over on the tank in no time. But it absorbs nutrients really well, and I'm hoping to add shrimp to this tank at some point. Right, now I'm going to fit the filter. Now it's time for the filter. I've got this tiny little USB hang-on back filter. All it's got in it is a little bit of fine filter floss to keep the water clear. Now all you need to do is fill up the back of the filter with water to prime it. Put the lid back on and plug it in and let it draw the water through. And now it's flowing. It will be completely silent by the time it's cleared all the air through. Now let's put it back in its spot. Now for the tank to be put in place. And put the light on. Right, now it is all finished. Thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Keep an eye out on the channel. I'll post updates of the tank and hopefully getting some shrimp for it once it's all ready.